This week, the future of our past, how high-tech's preserving our most threatened monuments. Plus, our thirsty hiker continues his mobile-free trek in search of Britain's remotest pub. Imagine if one of your country's most important and famous historic landmarks was suddenly destroyed. Maybe Stonehenge is flattened overnight, or St. Mark's Square in Venice disappears underwater forever. Well, that's what happened to key parts of the ancient city of Palmyra in Syria after it was captured by the Islamic State group last May. They overran the UNESCO World Heritage Site, tearing down temples and burial towers. Now Syrian forces have recaptured it, thoughts have turned to fixing some of the damage. But should they rebuild? Is there any point? And if so, how do they do it accurately? Well, here in Trafalgar Square, they've started to answer those questions, and they've begun with an arch. These stones are part of an exact replica of the Arch of Triumph, the gateway to what was regarded by some as the most important part of Palmyra, the Temple of Baal, which now lies in rubble. This is a really delicate process, and nobody wants to be the person who drops any of the pieces. It's really intense right now. You've not got like some instructions?
Yeah, just it's hard to say.
Or you're a typical bloke and you don't worry about instructions?
We don't ever.
It's been reconstructed using 3D photos of the original. Egyptian marble was then taken to Italy, where machines carved sub-millimetric detail into the surface. I'll be 50 quid, please, bruv. The whole project was masterminded by the Institute of Digital Archaeology, which sees this as the very beginning of something quite big.
It's about doing what we can do. It's about working together towards the goal, which is, effectively about looking at what we can do in an on-site way to restore these objects, to give people back their livelihoods, to work in a positive, creative way in regions that have been damaged either by human intervention or by natural disaster.
But this isn't the only project trying to rebuild ancient Palmyra, though. There are others who think they can do a better job. Archaeologists from a group called ICONM, based in Paris, have already been on site establishing the extent of the damage. They've used 3D cameras to create an initial model of the entire Temple of Baal. We've seen this tech before. 2 years ago, we went to see an exact copy of Tutankhamun's tomb in Luxor. That project wasn't just important for tourism. The data captured led to at least one important discovery.
Effectively, due to the high-resolution nature of the recordings that we made in the tomb of that time, an archaeologist named Nicholas Reeves was able last year to study the data over the internet at high resolution in New York and develop a theory that there are hidden chambers behind the north and the west wall of Tutankhamun.
And now the same company that did that has made a replica of just one stone from the Palmyra Arch in even higher resolution than the exhibit in London. It's painstaking work. Just one block has taken 200 hours. But they think this astonishing level of detail is necessary.
We're constantly trying to question what's meaningful and what's fruitful in the application of new technologies. So what we hope is that academia will not go down the line of theme park mentalities of trying to present things simplistically, but will nurture a deeper and more objective understanding of the data that's being recorded.
Well, of course, the Triumphal Arch has been grabbing all the headlines. You can see the world presser here. But UNESCO's World Heritage in Danger list has 47 other sites on it that are threatened by anything from poaching to pollution and from urbanisation to natural disasters. In Nepal, for instance, 3D cameras are being used to help capture shrines and temples in an effort to conserve them. Something that would have been so important before last year's earthquake destroyed UNESCO-listed temples right in the centre of Kathmandu. So why is archaeology important specifically in Nepal?
We have so many other ways to damage our old heritage, like as examples, environmental damage, pollution, then another thing is fires, and then theft is another problem in here. It was very, very important in Nepal to through the 3D models or digital archaeology models. So we have to save those statues or shrines or temples using 3D models. Otherwise, it will be lost forever.
Back in London, opening day for the Arch, it's created quite a stir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Triumphal Arch of Palmyra. 3, 2, 1. What do you think? I think it looks beautiful.
I think it looks stunning.
I wish it was a bit bigger, but the trouble was if we'd made it much bigger, it would have crashed through into the cafe beneath. That was the problem. It would have been about 500 tons, and we couldn't do that. It's a constant struggle to protect some of the relics of the past, and you think about what's happening in Pompeii, for instance. Every year a little bit of Pompeii gets lost. Maybe this technology offers hope to restore things. You've got to be careful, though, that you don't create a kind of Disneyland of stuff that's not, it's all...
I was going to say, because it could possibly stop people from going and see the real thing, couldn't it?
Oh, I don't think so. I think people will always want to go and see. Now, what I really hope is that people will want to go and see Palmyra and then want to go on holiday in Syria. I mean, I took my kids about 6 years ago to see Aleppo.
Yes.
We went to Aleppo and we went to Apamea and some of the wonderful places in Syria, and they've had terrible, terrible damage now. Terrible.
The Arch has now left Trafalgar Square, but it's expected to be rebuilt first in Oxford, there you go, where it will be on display through July and August, before moving on to New York in September. And if you're off on your travels anytime soon, here's a guide to some of the monuments we think you should see before they disappear. Moscow's Zhukov radio tower was commissioned in 1919 by Lenin and broadcast news of Soviet might across the Union. The landmark was due to be demolished in 2014, but was saved by city authorities. However, there's still no restoration work, and it's been included on a watch list of at-risk sites compiled by the World Monuments Fund. One of the highlights to any London trip is the Palace of Westminster. But a 2012 report warned it will suffer major irreversible damage without major restoration work that could take up to 30 years. The report says part of the building is sinking and the whole place is riddled with asbestos and dangerous cabling. Some have even noticed that Big Ben has a slight lean to it these days. And ending with happier news. One site that's escaped a rocky future is Ecuador's unique Galapagos archipelago. It was taken off UNESCO's Heritage in Danger list in 2010 after the authorities restricted tourism and introduced programs to manage invasive species. It's a completely unique ecosystem with an incredible number of endemic species, which UNESCO calls a showcase for evolution. To Peru next, and while surfing's chiefly still a young person's sport, the older generation think they're every bit as good as the kids and grandkids. And they're not using modern carbon fibre contraptions either. their board of choice is altogether more rustic.
Yo soy Fidel Guamanchumo Ucañán, 74 años de edad y soy pescador, trabajo en Caballito de Totora. El Caballito de Totora es más peligroso que manejar una embarcación. Los meses que hay pesca nos dedicábamos a la pesca. Cuando ya no había pesca nos dedicábamos a hacer Caballito de Totora para vender, para sostenerse. Vamos a cortar totora para hacer Caballito de Totora.
Creo que más difícil es coger una ola con Caballito de Totora que una tabla hawaiana. Nuestros antepasados, ellos han sido unos magníficos domadores de olas y se han encontrado vestigios, ¿no? Pinturas, donde ya hace más de 3000 años se desarrollaba este deporte, ¿no? Con los caballitos de Totora.
En mi juventud habían carreras de caballitos. Yo he corrido olas grandes de 4 metros de altura y gané mi premio de primer puesto. Aquí está el premio.
Still to come on the travel show, Michelle's back with the best upcoming events from around the world, and a liquid reward awaits Ben as he continues his attempt to find Britain's remotest pub without a map. The Travel Show, your essential guide wherever you're headed.
Hello, I'm Michelle Yanachan, your global guide with top tips on the world's best events in the coming months.
Everybody's got summer. Everybody's got summer.
But starting in the UK with words of William Shakespeare, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. In London, the season begins at the Open Air Theatre in Regent's Park, one of the loveliest venues in the British capital, with pre-theatre picnics in the Rose Garden. From June 17th, Henry V will take to the boards. No better timing. This is part of Shakespeare 400, celebrating the playwright in the 400th anniversary of his death. In the US, the Tanglewood Music Festival, one of the world's best musical events, begins June 25th in the towns of Stockbridge and Lenox in western Massachusetts. The Boston Symphony Orchestra is in summer residence here and has been for nearly 80 years, and concerts include symphonic music to chamber music, jazz to pop. But what makes it so very special is the venue, with music and summer picnics on the rolling lawns of the Berkshire Hills estate. The season ends September 3rd. In Greece, the Nemean Games opens at the Temple of Zeus on June 10th. It was in Nemea that the ancient Greeks celebrated the athletic festivals that were part of the cycle of games at Delphi, Isthmia and Olympia. This modern revival is something refreshingly uncommercial. The races are open to anyone over the age of 8. There are no records and no medals. Take note, runners wear white tunics rather than being naked like they would have been in ancient times. It'll be a different kind of marathon event in Iceland at the Secret Solstice Festival from June 16th to 19th. At this time of year, there's no darkness, so clearly there's no rest either. The theme is local Norse mythology, and taking to the stage in the capital Reykjavik will be Radiohead, Saint-Germain and Of Monsters and Men. And don't miss the parties. There's one inside Langjökull Glacier and another in a volcano-powered geothermal pool at Fludir. Back in the UK, in the market town of Bishop Auckland in County Durham, it's the opening night of Kinren on July 2nd, an open-air, action-packed after-dark show telling 2,000 years of British history, from Roman times to the Viking invasions, the Industrial Revolution to World War II. This is a monumental production. The landscape stage is 5 times the size of a football pitch, set against the backdrop of Auckland Castle. That's my Global Guide this month. Let me know what's happening in the place where you live or where you love. We're on email and across social media. Until next time, happy traveling.
So last week we saw Ben Zand begin his hike to Britain's remotest pub. To make things interesting, we confiscated his phone and gave him a few natural navigation tips. This week, he struggles towards the end of his journey on Scotland's west coast.
I'm attempting a 3-day hike across the Scottish Highlands, without any of the modern tools we use to find our way around.
Natural navigation is the rare art of finding your way using nature. The sun, moon, stars, wind, weather, plants and animals. Before humankind invented instruments, natural navigation was the only navigation we had. And human beings found their way across pretty much the whole planet.
With the help of the sun and the stick, I managed to make it to my first market. Now I have to continue north to reach my final destination, the town of Inverie, the home of Britain's most remote pub. It's 25 miles across mountainous terrain. How far can natural navigation take me?
So I took this route headed north, but along the way there's been a few more twists and turns than I imagined, so I'm not really sure if I'm headed in the right direction.
I decide to stop to try another navigation technique.
So according to Tristan, I can use a tree just like this one here to make sure I am headed in the right direction.
This technique relies on the sun. In northern countries like Scotland, the sun spends more time in the southern side of the sky.
There you go.
That affects the shape of the tree.
I'll look for the tick effect.
I'm looking for a tick effect, as the branches on the sunnier south side grow out towards the light.
So there's the tick, which means south is that way. So this must be north.
Using the tree's bearing, my route winds into a heavily wooded area.
I don't know if you can tell, but it's just started absolutely pouring down.
With a choice of paths and no sign of the sun, I begin to wander off course.
This is definitely the wrong way. Yeah, I think I might need to use the compass. It's too dangerous otherwise. It's getting dark.
Natural navigation has got me so far, but as the daylight fades and the rain gets heavier, I turn to an old-fashioned map and compass to find somewhere to camp for the night.
This morning I've woken up and to torrential downpour, and I've still got another, I don't know, 9 miles or something to go.
It's a long way to go, but as the weather lifts, the full beauty of the landscape is revealed.
There we go. After walking 30 miles in the sun and rain, that right there, the town of Inverie, is a beautiful sight.
Inverie is cut off from the main road network, so the only way of getting here is by walking, or via a 20-minute boat journey.
Britain's most remote pub. I'm not entirely sure which one it is. Oh, there it is. See if I can make it in. Whoa. Actually can't fit in the door. Oh, this is so heavy. There we go. Hello there. Can I order a drink, please?
When you want to be out of the civilization for a wee moment, we have no mobile phone here, no television, everybody knows everybody. There is no police, no policeman. So you need to be as yourself. You need to be nice with the people.
You don't sound Scottish. Where are you from?
No, indeed. I'm from the Ardennes Forest in Belgium. At the base, I'm a wild boar hunter. I came here for deregulation as a stalker 20 years ago. This lovely pub has been for sales on the market for 3 years and nobody took care of it. So I was keeping coming here as a stalker. And on a drunken night, I had a conversation with the previous owner, which is an ex-British Army officer, and he proposed me to make an offer. It's maybe actually the best decision I've ever made.
The warm, noisy surroundings of the pub are a bit of a shock after 3 days in the Highlands.
Would I use natural navigation as my main tool to get around? Probably not. But it's not really for that. It showed me a completely different way of looking at things when I'm out hiking.
If you're tempted to try natural navigation yourself, make sure you set off with the right kit. Details through this link here. But best take a map and compass anyway, just in case. Well, that's your lot for this week. Coming up next week, Krista's in New York, rounding up some of our best trips from recent months, from our economy seat on a charismatic Cambodian railway to a journey deep underneath Budapest. Some great memories of amazing parts of the world. Make sure you join us for that if you can, and don't forget you can follow us on social media. All the details are on the screens, but for now, from all of us here in Trafalgar Square, it's goodbye.